Welcome to Materials and Methods Matter. In this episode, we will explore tools used for inking. I will demonstrate each tool using the same motif so we have a good comparison of the results. First inking tool we're going to take a look at is the metal nibbed pen. This is sometimes referred to as a croak quill pen because it's a metal version of a pen made from a feathered quill. This pen comes with various types of pen nibs. This is a global pen nib, and this is what they refer to as a croak quill. There are a variety of other nibs that can be used, including lettering nibs. One of the interesting things is with this pen is, of course, you could vary the line width. We need to dip this pen into ink, so I'm using my ink here, and I can create a thin line, but if I press down I can create a thick line. So we have the option of creating a variety of lines. Of course, there is no cartridge, so the pen is going to run out of ink. Our second inking tool is the bamboo pen. This is made from real bamboo. It could either be double-sided or single-sided, and it comes in a variety of different sizes. This pen also needs to be dipped, and one of the things I always recommend is trying the pen on a piece of paper. This is a very expressive pen. This here is a thicker line. So let me demonstrate this on our feather motif. Our third inking tool is the fountain pen. This is designed for writing. It has a metal nib. It also has an ink cartridge or an ink reservoir, and they make great sketching pens. Because of the ink reservoir, we don't have to stop to dip or refill, so we can easily just continue our drawing with very nice lines. These also come in different line widths. This is an extra fine, which I prefer. Because I can get a nice fine line. Please note that you cannot use pigmented inks in a fountain pen. If you do, they will clog and they will stop writing and you will ruin your pen. Our fourth inking tool is the technical pen, which is a tubular ink pen. Has a cartridge in it. It's filled. One of my favorite inks for using is the Koh-I-Noor Ultradraw 3085, which is very black and also works great in a tubular pen. These pens were originally designed for drafting, but they also make great illustrating pens. For one, they have different line sizes, about 10 different line sizes. So it goes from 0.013 all the way up to a 1.1 millimeter. They give you a very accurate line. One of the factors, though, is the care and maintenance on this pen, and there will be a separate video dealing with care and maintenance and taking care of this pen. But it gives us a very, very nice line. These are great for stippling and all different types of line techniques, which we'll see in another video. So you just have to be careful what type of paper you're working on. If it's too fibrous, sometimes it will clog the pen. But for any inking illustration, this is pen of choice. Our fifth inking tool is the fiber tip pen, especially those with pigmented inks, because they can become a substitute for the technical pen. They are also available in a wide variety of nib sizes from 0.05 all the way up to a 1 millimeter, and also different nib types from a round to a brush, a chisel, and even calligraphy type. But make sure you pick one that says pigmented inks, because if it says permanent, it's not always pigmented, and dye-based inks will fade over time. So we want to make sure that we use a pigmented ink, especially for those illustrations, and that we tend to want to frame, or if we're going to use this in mixed media, we don't want the ink to run. Our sixth inking tool is the rollerball pen. This is another pen that is designed for writing, but is great for sketching. It contains a gel type ink and a ball which rolls the ink onto the surface, so you can actually sketch much faster than you can with a dip pen or technical pen or even a fiber tip pen. These come in usually in various sizes. A 0.7, usually a 0.5, and a broad nib. There are permanent ink roller balls available. The seventh inking tool is the brush pen, which is basically a fiber tip pen or marker. It comes in various line widths. The tip of this pen is flexible, so we can basically get a thin line, and if I press down, I get a wider line. So with that said, when we're inking, we need to control the amount of pressure that we put pressing down. So we have to be a little more careful. You can see our lines are much thicker when we compare them to other pens, but it is a very expressive inking tool. Our eighth inking tool is very similar to the previous one. This is the Aqua Squeeze pen or Aqua Squeeze brush. It is basically a empty brush pen with a synthetic brush nib. It has a reservoir which we could fill with our favorite ink, and this will give us, like our brush pen, it will give us a thin line, or if we press down, we can get a thick line. We can also add a little water. We can add some water to it and actually create a lighter mark, or we could use colored inks. When working with the Aqua brush pen, we want to make sure that we do not press down too hard. We also want to control the amount of pressure that we are applying to the nib. It's a much more expressive tool than other ink pens, like the brush pen itself, but it allows us to basically capture the last inking tool we want to explore is the ruling pen. This was once used by drafters and architects for inking, but was replaced by the technical pen. Nevertheless, it is still a useful inking tool. The ruling pen is basically an adjustable tweezers that has a thumb screw that allows you to adjust the distance between the two tongues. If I turn this thumb screw, I can open up the distance to give me a wide line. And of course, I can adjust that to vary the line width all the way down to a very narrow line. The ink hangs in the balance here. Let me demonstrate how to fill and use the ruling pen. To use the ruling pen, we're going to need some ink. In this case, I've chosen the Higgins Black Magic with a squeeze stopper. But before we fill the pen, we want to make sure that our tongues are closed. So we turn the thumb screw to close this. To fill the pen, we want to hold this as vertical as possible. I'm going to try to turn this so you can see the ink hanging in the balance. Once your pen is inked up, turn the thumb screw and open it up, and you are now able to draw lines. We could do straight lines, we can do curved lines, but remember to hold the pen vertical. If we want wider lines, we simply open up the thumb screw and continue drawing. Yes, it does take practice, but it's still an effective tool for ink or any other fluid medium such as gouache, watercolor, acrylic, and even oil colors. Stay tuned for the next episode of Materials and Methods Matter when we explore pen and ink techniques. Materials and Methods Matter was inspired by my book, Making Art, Materials and Techniques for Today's Artist. For more videos on Materials and Methods Matter, as well as lesson plans and other instructional videos, visit Thalo.com.